Hello, sixth grade. Hopefully you can hear me okay. All right, so for our first project in our first cycle, we're going to be looking at perspective. Now, you've done 1 point perspective, you've done 2 point perspective, and this year we're really going to challenge you. So we're going to do 3 point perspective, and we're going to look at what that's used for and where you would need it and why would you would need it. So the main kind of goal for this project is you're going to be designing a city, okay? Designing part of a city. And we're going to be using 3 point perspective to really give a sense of how wide it is, how big it is, and the depth, how far back it goes. We're going to be designing some buildings to go in there. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to review a little bit of how 2 point perspective works. It's been a year, and I figure some of us probably don't remember all the fine little details. So we're going to review that, and then we're going to jump right into how you will use 3 point perspective in this project. All right, let's get started. So first thing we're going to need, just get the camera set up here. First thing you're going to need some paper. You are definitely going to need a pencil. And you're going to need a ruler, of course, as your measuring tool. All right, so get that aligned. Thinking back to last year, in the last few years with perspective, we always start with a line across the page, which hopefully we remember is called the horizon, separating sky from ground. You'll also remember that we started with 2 vanishing points when we did our 2 point perspective. Remember, it looked a little bit like that. I had you draw a couple buildings, we did a little bit of detail, and that was our 2 point project. Now, real quick review of 2 point. We have 2 vanishing points. We made a small stick figure in between and below the 2 vanishing points. One of the only times I'm going to tell you to draw a stick figure. We had to put the spotlight on the stick figure. And to do that, if you recall, we lined up our ruler to our left vanishing point. Remember, we had left and right vanishing point. To underneath the stick man, make a line all the way down. And then to make that a spotlight on him, we move the ruler just a little bit above him, but we're still lining up to the left vanishing point. The ruler is still on the left vanishing point. We have this long, skinny triangle shape that comes out from the vanishing point. We then repeated that. We did it from the right vanishing point. We went below Stickman to the right vanishing point, all the way down, and then we measure to above him to the right vanishing point as well. That's why you got to hang on to those rulers while you're drawing your lines. Okay. That gave you the basic shape. Now, some of us added some lines to really show that this is a road and it's an intersection. It's where 2 roads cross each other. I'm just very quickly putting some lines down like that. Okay. We then made a building or a skyscraper in the center. We added a vertical line. We lined up our ruler through the stick man, through the intersection, and up here, made a vertical line. Some of it's below the horizon, some of it's above the horizon. What we did is we connected the top and the bottom to each vanishing point. So as you'll see, I'll line up my ruler from the bottom to the vanishing point and make a line. I'm then going to do the same from the top. So line up top down to the left vanishing point. That gives us this triangle shape. Now we want to go to the right now. So we measure from the bottom to the right vanishing point. Then we line up our ruler to the top of that shape to the right vanishing point. Like that. That gives you a super long building or wall shape. But we wanted to make that a little more reasonable. So we're going to make a vertical line on either side of it, like that. You can't see through the building, so you can erase the vanishing point. The horizon behind the building. These are also guidelines, so you can also erase these after where it goes past the building, because those are just They're an imaginary line that we use to measure the angle for the top and bottom like that. Okay, to make the windows, just going to do a couple quick easy ones. If you'll remember, we use some dots on the center line. The line we started with, we just had some dots. And remember, we have to connect the dots. So like 1, 2. So we line up our ruler, dot to dot. Make sure that on your ruler you have a dot on each end. Connect. I don't need to go all the way back there because the building ends here. And then I move my ruler. I rotate up a little bit. Dot to dot. Each one of these is going to have a different angle. You can see what happens as we get above the horizon. They start angling down towards the vanishing point. Below, they angle upwards. And if they're close to the vanishing point, they're going to be mostly across, horizontal. I'm going to connect the last 2 dots, like so. Now I've got the left side of my building, and we've got those nice perspective lines that really gives it that 3D depth illusion. We need to do the right side of the building as well. So we're going to do the same thing, but over to the right. So we're going to connect our ruler, dot to dot. Always make sure you're going to the vanishing point. A lot of kids make this mistake. They measure the first one, bam, perfect. But then they do the same line over and over and over again like that. Because if you draw it up here, does that window make sense? No, they should be going with the building. So each one, you have to make sure that you connect dot to dot, connecting the dots. Finish those last 2. Bam. There we go. We have our first building in perspective. 2-point perspective to be precise. If you want to add a little detail, you can add vertical lines to give it some windows. You can decide, oh, hey, how does someone get in this building? So maybe we need to make some doors on either side. Let me shade that in a little bit. Okay, and we can get more into detail a little bit later, but just to kind of highlight those out. All right, we also made some buildings behind, and if you remember, that's just the same process. We just make a vertical line if you want a building down the road, and you connect either side to the vanishing point, and then all the way over to the left vanishing point, we do the same thing. But you can stop right here because it's not going behind, it's going behind the building, it's not in front of it, so you don't need to draw the rest of the line. And we connect left vanishing point to the top, and you've got another building or block of buildings back there. Windows work the same way. Make some dots, connect dot to dot on the right, like that. And then on the left, all the way over to the left vanishing point, dot to dot, line them up, make a line. 3. Okay. And if you do that right, it should make it look like there's another building back here. And you should have maybe a little alleyway in between the 2. All right. So that was just the basics of what we did last year in 5th grade. That's 2-point perspective. Now, we want to bump this up a notch. We're looking at 3-point perspective now. So if you notice, we have 1, 2, 3 vanishing points. What else is different? We have 2 roads coming towards us. Oops, excuse me. And then we have another few over here. We've got some crossroads too and some bridges. We're going to get to that detail later. But there's something on here that we haven't done in any of the perspective work that we've done so far. Any ideas what that is? Roofs. We've never showed how to add the roof onto a building when it's below the horizon. So that's one of the main things we're going to learn about with 3-point perspective. So we go back to our sketch. Notice how I left most of the right side of my page empty. That was intentional because all of a sudden we have a 3rd vanishing point. This is now our right vanishing point, and this is now our center. So we've got a left, our center, and a right. we are going to start again with a couple crisscrossing roads. It's going to sort of look like a V shape or a boomerang shape down here. So I'm going to add, and if it helps, you can add the stick figure again to help you measure. We're going to go from the center vanishing point to below, center vanishing point to above it, and then we're going to repeat from the right vanishing point. We're going to go down below to the right vanishing point to above right vanishing point, like that. Okay, now we have two more roads. What we want is to show the illusion that we're in a city and we've got all these buildings on different streets. We're trying to draw that accurately so it look like it would really look like in real life. So we're going to draw a block of buildings over here. But to use 3-point, we want to show the roof. So we're going to put our ruler vertically above the stick man. And let's just go up a little bit. Okay, you want to keep the line below this horizon. Notice I don't go above because that won't show the roof. As you can see in these ones, the roofs are above you, so you can't see them up there. So now what we need to do, we need to connect to the center vanishing point, to the top of that, and then same, but to the right. Now normally, you'd have to measure from the bottom over too, but you notice how I put this line right on the street? So the line's already there for us. Now, we have this shape right here. What we're going to do is we're going to transform it into some buildings. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to add some vertical lines in that shape. Remember, the further away something is, the smaller they are. So you see they're getting closer together as we do that. Okay. Repeat on the right side. Again, getting a bit smaller as you go back, like that. Okay. Imagine these are the two sides of the buildings, and we are going to be adding the roof. Now, how do we do that? So right now, it's a little bit like there's flat pieces of paper or a fence along this road right here. Now, how do we change it and make it a 3D object? Well, here's what we need to do. On the top of those vertical lines we just made, I'm going to add a dot to the top of each and every one of them. All right. Now, we're on the left side over here, and here's where it gets a little tricky. You have to think about it. To make the left side roofs, you have to measure to the opposite vanishing point. So if you're on the left, you go to the right. If you're on the right to make the roof, you have to go to the left, or in this case, center vanishing point. Now, let me just show you. It might be easier just to see. So I'm on the left. So I line up my ruler to that first dot on the left. And I'm going to bring that ruler up to the right vanishing point. And I'm going to make a line like that. I'm going to do the same thing. Going to the left, line it up to the dot, over to the right vanishing point. And I'm going to carefully measure, because when they get closer together, it's more important that you have to be accurate, because if you're a little loose with it, sometimes it just won't work out exactly right. Okay, see that? Now we're starting to get some buildings here. But the roofs aren't done. We need to go to the right side of the building, over here, and now measure opposite. So right to the left, right to the center. Line it up, dot to dot, all the way back like that. Okay. Then rotate our ruler over. Same thing, towards that vanishing point, like that. See what's starting to happen? Getting almost this checkerboard-like pattern. Which is going to be a really nice sort of optical illusion that makes it look like you've got all these buildings and all these roofs on this city block. There we go. Look at that. See, the further back they get, the closer they are together. It looks very complex, but it's all because we measure right. If you measure right, you put the ruler in the right spot, this is all going to just happen like magic. You can also go back. You can shade certain ones in. You can add detail, all that fun stuff. You can go in and make doors. Now, how would I make a door? Say I want to make a door on the side of the building. I make a vertical line. All I need to do, connect the top to whatever street it's going down, whatever street it's on. This door's on this street. So I measure to that vanishing point because that's where that street is heading. So I line up my ruler there to there. Just make a short little line like that. And then just make another vertical. Close it off. Now if you want to get really nice, make this advanced, and you want a little recessed door where this little walkway in there, you have to measure from this little corner here to the opposite vanishing point on the right. Like that. And make a little line. And then what I do is just shade in right here. Now it looks like you've got a gap there and a little walkway. Maybe we had a little steps right there. Maybe it's a subway entrance. All right. So what I would like everyone to do is once you have a handle of this and you practice it, I want you to design me a city. It's got to have 3-point perspective views. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 different streets happening here. You can also connect side streets. Now, how do I add a side street? Let's look at that. If you want a side street connecting across, you need to measure from a vanishing point, usually the left or the right. So let's say there's a subway train underneath here, a little bridge underneath. I use my ruler. I go on the right vanishing point, and I can just pick a spot where I want it to go, maybe about here. I can make a line. I can extend it all the way across if I like. All I need to do is just rotate up a little bit from there, add a line in between, and across. And let's say it's train tracks. I can go in, can add some of the crossbars. I'm not going to do the whole thing right now, but just to give you a little idea of what that could look like. Now you've got a train passing under here. Maybe this needs to be raised up. This road is now a bridge all underneath. Just add a couple lines, close it off. You've got a support. Go back and use what you learned from 1-point perspective to show that they get smaller, as they go back like that. And now, really got some depth here. You've got this road raised up, train tracks underneath, and you can just let your imagination go wild. Details, buildings, businesses, homes, cars, trains, planes, what weather's there, what does it look like in the sky, are there mountains or other geographic features in the background, and pretty much you're designing your own city. We're going to focus mainly on black and white because this is a 2-day project. If you have extra time, you're welcome to add further detail, color, like that. All right, any questions? Don't be afraid to email me. I know this is a pretty complex topic, so I will definitely be there to help you. All right, guys, until next time, happy drawing.